didn't realize I was missing something, but then at the same time, I was chasing something. I was so unaware of the fact that what I was searching for was something that I wasn't even allowing myself to feel. It felt like I was constantly chasing this void that I was trying to fill. And I kept thinking that if I found the right man, that I would fill that void. And it was the day that I was sitting on my couch in my living room, and I came across this wedding video of these two women. I've gone to a lot of weddings, right? A lot of very heteronormative weddings. And I was sitting here watching this video and I started sobbing. And I was so confused by that emotion because I don't cry. Like, I don't find weddings really emotional. I'll watch other people cry at weddings and I'm kind of like, is there something wrong with me? Should I be crying? Should we all be crying? I don't know what to do with it. I'm sobbing, and then that thought that I've been stifling in my head for 30 some odd years, maybe you're a lesbian, maybe that's why you're crying. I allowed myself to literally visualize that door opening and then allowing myself to see myself with a woman for the first time. That was the void. That was like this moment where I don't even know how to put it into words, but it was like I was overcome with the feeling of that's it. That's the thing that you've been chasing all this time, but you weren't allowing yourself to realize it. And it just, I can't explain how right it felt. How it just, the moment I allowed myself to sit with it, I was like, that's it. Holy shit. Like, it was definitely a mind fuck. And I got myself into the heteronormative life, the life that I conditioned myself to believe I wanted and I needed, and that was gonna make me happy. And I was absolutely miserable. Oops, I'm pregnant. Oh, should we just do the thing where we get married? Oh, all right, let's do that thing. That's kind of what happened. We went into the conditioned roles that we were told we were supposed to fill. It almost felt like we were just going through the motions, looking back on it, and then we said like, well, it's been about 2 years, I guess. We'll have another baby. And then our third little guy was the Hail Mary, the one where you're like, hey, shit's going down. Should we just, yeah, for sure. Let's just have more kids. That's a great idea. Let's add more children. Let's have more humans into this toxic relationship. That's a great idea. There would be really hard, tough moments, and I would say, you're married now. You can't quit. You can't just quit now. You signed up for this. But why do we do that to ourselves? It's as if we think that we have to answer to the world. This was the night where I said, fuck all that noise. And all I did was call a bunch of times and voice my upset, and it was met with, I want a divorce.
No more talking about it.
Oh, wow.
The way it is, the way it is.
I was exhaling. I was fucking relieved, and I didn't fight because I didn't want to fight. I was like, oh thank God. Oh, thank you. Like, because I wouldn't have done it. I didn't have the strength to do it, so I wouldn't have. We were gonna go on this family trip to Galveston, and we were going to put on a happy face and not tell anybody yet, because we didn't want to ruin the weekend. And I'm looking at our account, and I'm with my family, pretending like I'm not in a crumbling marriage I'm about to, and I'm seeing dinner and movie. I'm like, it's very expensive dinner, it's very expensive movie. It's weird. In a part of town that neither one of us has any connection to. I just point blank said, what the hell is this? And it was met with, oh, I have a divorce group. I found a divorce group. That's what I went to dinner with the divorce group. So, within 2 months, he was introducing her to the children, and within another month, they were moving in together. It all happened so quickly that my divorce from the day that we decided we were getting one to when it actually was signed and, official was July to February. And in that time, they were pregnant and married already. They were married before we were even legally divorced. Then about a month later, the pandemic hits. It's March 2020. Everything gets shut down. The kids and I are at home for the next 4 or 5 months. The school district that was near me was very uncertain. Like, it was so up in the air. There were so many confusing parts. Every day was something new, and we were all so scared and so confused. And he and her came to me with this offer of putting the kids in private school near them, which was an hour away, which means that we would have to switch roles. as parents. I genuinely believed that homeschooling them was not the right choice. I genuinely believed that putting them back with other kids, putting them back in the everyday routine environment was going to be more beneficial to their mental health, because we were all starting to lose it. Maybe this is a really great positive direction for us to go in. Like maybe this is a really good step as like co-parents, you know, like where we can like really make it about the kids and really like work together. About 6-7 months go by and then they come to me and say, they love it here. Like what if we sign them up for another year? And my people pleasing thing was like, yeah, sure, mate. Like kind of like almost like I didn't give it a definitive yes, but it was kind of like a, well, things have gone so well or something, you know? And then I remember giving that response. And then I remember for the next, 24 hours, my stomach was in knots. So my body was telling me no. And I followed it, and I finally reached back out and I said, I actually don't think that's gonna be a great idea. I really appreciate everything, this has been really helpful for them and for me and for all of us, and that next year they're gonna come back here. And that's when the mask fell. That's when I get a phone call of him just going off the rails. I'm listening to him scream at me and I'm realizing you did the right thing. Thank God you spoke up and you listened to your gut and you said something, because there was something at play here. I didn't know what it was yet, but there was something. I caught wind of what was happening, so I got representation and I was able to get my hands on the affidavit and figure out what story, what narrative they were trying to sell. And the narrative was painted as if I literally came and just handed them over to them and then just went about my life and disappeared and was just completely checked out. I genuinely still can't truly wrap my brain around how someone can justify lying that extensively with the sole purpose of taking someone's children away from them. None of that was done in the best interest of my children. That was done in the best interest of the adults in the equation who wanted power over those children. That was probably the deepest, darkest 6 months of my life mentally. The court date came and I won, by the way, obviously. I won and I fucking demolished him. All I had to do was be myself. That's all I had to do. Every single legal person I have ever come in contact with throughout my divorce, throughout this custody proceeding, saw what was fucking happening. Every single one of them voiced to me in some sort of private way of like, I see this, I see you, I see what he's doing. Every single one. It was terrifying. The process was terrifying, but it was very reassuring to know that the things that I missed, the red flags that I didn't see, the things that I walked right past and signed up for a marriage with, they were all seeing right from the get-go. And that's what I was scared of. I was scared that people weren't going to see that, right? They were just going to believe the narrative that was being painted about me. I didn't have to even make up my own crazy lies or make up my own crazy stories. I had the truth. It was a very massively transcendent moment for me in my life, realizing that this extreme codependency that unintentionally gave everybody around me more power over me than I had over myself. That was the day that I kind of took that back. That man gave me a gift that day when he told me he wanted a divorce, because if he hadn't done that, then I wouldn't be sitting here with you. Who knows how much longer I would have gone on, allowing myself to be protected by the chaos, I was so conditioned to believe that I am just supposed to be attracted to men, that even whenever I was chasing this void, I still thought that void was just I just haven't found the right man. That's the void, I just haven't found that person. I will one day. And the entirety of my dating history was me never having the capacity to be alone. I had a massive codependency and I would just jump from relationship to relationship, but every single relationship I've been in with a man, nothing ever felt, like it almost felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I did have strong feelings and you connect with humans, but there was something missing. I very quickly jumped into filling that void again, trying to figure out how to replace this missing piece. I basically compounded trauma, and I never gave myself a chance to really sit with the pain and sit with the hurt and sit with the processing of everything. And so I just immediately just shoved all those hard feelings down and tried to start jumping into other relationships to distract yourself. I have a pattern of being attracted to chaotic people because when you grow up in a narcissistic household, it's chaos. And so when you are conditioned to be comfortable in chaos, then you seek out chaos. And it took me a long time to realize that. Did I surround myself with chaos in order to distract myself from having to face the reality of who I am? Abso-fucking-lutely. I absolutely believe that I have always had a lot of things that I didn't realize I needed to process. And now that I'm realizing it, the chaos was meant to drown out all the super hard, big feelings. It was meant to distract me from the real direction, the real journey that I should be on. Following the chaos allowed me to almost not make it my fault. Chalking up everything that I am to trauma. And it's like, that's not my entire personality. That doesn't define me. It explains things, but it doesn't define who I am. Allowing myself to kind of hide behind that and hide behind the trauma and hide behind the chaos gave me that security blanket. Ooh, that was a real-time realization. Like, I was like, yep, we're having therapy. That's why whenever I would be speaking to someone who was probably a much more healthy person, it felt boring. I kept bringing people who were just hurting me over and over and over again. I was just compounding it. And I was never even giving myself a moment to process that hurt. So then I was just moving on to another one. And it got to the point where I did this for about 2 years after my divorce. And I hit this wall of dating where I just couldn't do it anymore. I had been in therapy actively throughout all this time, these 2 years of dating. And I realized that the reason why we were never able to get down to the root of things for so long is because there was so much happening there where we were never able to get to the deeper. It took me 6 months of not trying to fill the void to finally figure out what the void was. If I had only ever given myself even just a little bit more time of being single, of being alone, and not trying to fill that, I probably would have figured it out a lot sooner, but I just never gave myself that window. I just kept trying to find my happiness somewhere else. I didn't realize that I was a lesbian. I didn't realize that that was the void. That was the piece of me that I kept trying to chase after. The moment that I finally realized what the void was the moment that I stopped having to try to fill it. The moment that I finally put that last puzzle piece in was the moment that I felt whole for the first time in my life. And I've never been so sure. Like, I just knew the moment I opened that mental door and I saw myself with a woman and not feel a shame about it and not feel a guilt about it and not feel like there was something, there was anything wrong with that. I just started sobbing and crying more because I realized that that is what I wanted. And I just never allowed myself to want it. I never allowed myself to want it. I never gave myself permission to want it. And so the moment that I gave myself permission to want it is the moment that it finally felt right. That's why all my relationships have felt foreign, have felt like I'm cosplaying straight. I don't mean it in an unkind way. I don't mean that in like a men are unattractive. I mean like it's like whenever you're conditioned to feel like you're supposed to be attracted to something. So then you have to give yourself permission to not be. It was like, oh no, I don't want to date. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. Oh my God. And finally not do the thing I was told I was supposed to do. My catalyst for realizing I'm gay was not a person. It was not a love. Maybe it was. But maybe that person in that love was me. I love who I am now, whereas I didn't used to get to say that. I love her, and I love all the versions of her, which I also didn't used to get to say. I'm realizing that the void I was missing was also me. Like, just who I am, like being able to feel secure and confident in my own shoes, feel confident in my own skin, feel like I'm not walking around pretending to be something that I'm not, feeling like I'm walking around in someone else's skin almost, right? And the moment that I allowed myself to love myself, it's such a freeing feeling. What's interesting is that I have been an ally of LGBTQ for even before I realized it in myself. I remember being junior high teenager and hearing the things my dad would say, hearing the things that other people in society around me would say, and like not having the courage to speak up and say anything, but just kind of like internally feeling like that wasn't right. That didn't make sense to me. The hatred for strangers solely because they were loving someone did not compute. It was only me that I was like shoving down deep and saying, no, 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 no. It's such a mindfuck to try to grapple with, like, I don't know, how was I an ally in so many, but like then I wasn't an ally for myself. How did I make that sense of that in my brain, right? There's so much nuance to it, right? Because it's not one size shoe fits all. It's not a blanketed, this is my queer story, so this is everyone's story is so different, and everyone's journey to that place is different, and also we've all grown up in this society together, you know, and while all of our stories might be different, the things that we were exposed to and the conditioning we were exposed to is all similar. I am not starting my lesbian journey from a place of a person bringing that out in me, you know, a love, a woman externally. It's this woman that brought it out in me, because I finally started giving a shit about this person and actually caring about what I was putting her through. And I think that once I started caring about that and I actually started giving myself permission to start fending for myself and start fighting for me and stop just kowtowing to the world around me, that in itself gave me the capability to not feel scared anymore, to be myself.